Hello again, and welcome back to the Better Learning Leadership Conference. For those who weren't with us at the Cambridge Botanic Garden yesterday, I'm Bobby Seagull, TV presenter and author. Today, I'll be taking you on a Cambridge punting experience along the famous River Cam. We'll punt along the backs, an area along the riverbanks occupied by some of the most famous and prestigious colleges that form Cambridge University. You'll get a chance to see some spectacular architecture, landmarks and scenery. Keep an eye out for Trinity Hall, Darwin College, the Mathematical Bridge, and one of the most recognisable views of the city, King's College, where we'll be visiting tomorrow. What we see is the Mathematical Bridge, and it's actually the only wooden bridge spanning the River Cam, and it was designed back in 1740 by William Etheridge, but actually was built a year later by James Essex the Younger. And if you look at it, this was actually subsequently repaired in 1866 and then rebuilt to the same actual design in 1905. And if you go back, the original bridge was actually made from oak, but the structure that we can see today is a teak built replica. And I actually think the design is a minor triumph of 18th century engineering. So woohoo for 18th century engineering. You see, wood is a weak material if subjected to bending, but in this bridge design, the timbers in the sort of side trusses are subjected to little or no bending forces. And the dominant force in the timbers lateral to the arch is simple compression, in which state wood is very strong. And the triangulation actually in the side trusses makes them stiff without being too heavy, and this prevents hinging at the joints between the segments of the arch. And the red brick building which the bridge runs into is actually the Riverside building, and this is actually, believe it or not, the oldest building on the river at Cambridge. It also contains parts of the President's Lodge. And here we see the magnificent King's College Chapel, but we can see it from a slightly different perspective, and it for me is the epitome of English late Gothic style. Vast painted glass windows, filigreed stone frame, and a gravity defying fan vaulting. And actually no other college had a chapel built on such a scale. In fact, the building was modelled on the plan of a cathedral choir, the architect being Henry VI's master mason, Reginald Ely. So next to King's College is Clare, and this was founded in 1326 and actually refounded in 1338 by Lady Elizabeth de Clare, and she was a wealthy heiress. And actually it's the second oldest of Cambridge's 31 colleges. And there's the famous prospect of the beautiful south and west ranges of the Old Court, as you can see across the King's College lawns. And this perhaps is one of the most celebrated and most photographed images in all of England. And if you like your nature, you'll be pleased to know that famous alumni of Clare Colleges, David Attenborough, the incredible naturalist. And actually we can see Clare Bridge, that's actually still the oldest bridge standing over this River Cam. So what you can see over there is Wren Library, and there are over actually 100 libraries at the University of Cambridge, and this is one of the most recent, and it was designed for Trinity Hall by local architects Freeland Rees Roberts and finished in 1998. Actually, in contrast, Trinity Hall's old library is over 400 years old and is one of the few chained libraries remaining in Britain. And that's what is that? A chained library is a library where the books are actually attached to their bookcase by a chain. So it's sufficiently long enough to allow the books to be taken from their shelves and be read, but not long enough so you can walk out with the book itself. That is the magnificent Wren Library, designed for Trinity College by Sir Christopher Wren, St Paul's Cathedral guy. And this striking library was finished in 1695. It actually combined sort of exquisite classical proportions and actually a carefully controlled amount of natural light. And some credit it as being one of the first libraries to be built with large windows to give readers a sufficient amount of light to actually read. Today, the library actually houses 75,000 books, including the largest intact proportion of Sir Isaac Newton's own library. But also, it has other notable books. Winnie the Pooh, so it has A.A. Milne's manuscript, and The House at Pooh Corner. You like Shakespeare, the Capel collection, and also the 1620 edition of William Morgan's translation of the Bible into Welsh. So that is New Court, part of St John's College, and it was once home to a monastic house, a hospital of St John. Actually was in existence from at least the early 13th century, but by the start of the 16th century it fallen into a bit of disrepair, and it came to the attention of Bishop John Fisher, who's a chancellor of the university and a friend of actually Lady Margaret Beaufort, the mother of King Henry VII. Fisher persuaded her to build a college in place of the old hospital. And by the mid-19th century, the college had expanded across the River Cam with construction of its really now famous Bridge of Sighs and New Court. I think New Court is one of the best loved 19th century buildings here in Cambridge. And it was finally completed in 1831 to a design by Rickman and Hutchinson. And actually, if you look, the tiered and turreted appearance has led some to give it the affectionate nickname of the wedding cake. You can see that, can't you? What we can see is the Bridge of Sighs, and this is a really rare example of the work of the sadly short-lived architectural prodigy Henry Hutchinson, and he died soon after the bridge was completed in 1831. And if you think the name Bridge of Sighs is familiar, well, it is, because it's from Venice, although it's got some, it's very architecturally uncommon from the actual one in Venice. The bars in the window actually do serve a practical purpose, because they were designed to prevent students from climbing in or out of St John's College at night. And this actual place here, Queen Victoria from the 19th century, she apparently loved the spot more than any other place in the entire city. Well, what a fantastic punting experience. You can join me again tomorrow on a virtual tour of King's College, one of the most iconic colleges in Cambridge. And guess what? We've been given exclusive access, so be sure not to miss out.